I'll just introduce myself. So I'm the academic officer. I deal with all the academic queries. Any issues your class are having, I'll be your point of contact really, and then I'll be able to take that to the committees I'm on and, you know, take it further if it has to be. What else? I suppose with regards to timetables, I'm your gal. Lecture, like if you have any complaints. So basically the job as a class rep, like you are the first point of contact for the people in your class, which is really important because like that's why you're here, like to be a voice for the students, because like sometimes like in my job I would not know what's actually going on in each like lecture or each class, so it's your job would really be to like voice that to me so I can take it further if needs be. Just to carry on now, sorry. So the purpose of the live Q&A today is to invite you to explain what representation is and the importance of it and how you can get involved if you'd like. And I'm joined by the Head of Leadership and Representation, Gillian O'Gorman, who has been working closely with myself and the other officers. So I might pass it over to Gillian, who might show you a bit of a presentation before we actually start the actual Q&A. And this will show you on how to apply to be a class rep and just explain what being a class rep actually is.
Thanks, Alison. Hi, everyone. So some of you may recognize me. I don't see anyone's faces, so and you see mine. Yes, I am the Head of Leadership and Representation. And Alison asked me to come on today to really reach out to students who may want to return and understand how we're doing things differently this year, obviously online, but also to say that now more than ever, we need representatives to support the student officers because unfortunately with the current situation, we are not on campus. So we really, really need to improve our communication with students who are experiencing both positive and negative experiences, and getting that feedback so Alison can, you know, inform the university committees and support you with issues on the ground as well. So thank you for joining us. And just to start, we want to kind of get a sense of who is in the audience. So I'm going to try for the first time a poll. So this could go one way or the other. So let's just see. We don't want that one. So just a second. I was so excited about doing this now, and if it doesn't work, we will move on. Let's see, relaunch polling, okay. So that's the first one, okay. Can everyone hear me and see me? Lovely. Maybe. Okay, so I take it that I can be seen and heard okay. If you have any questions or if there's any connection issues, you might put that into the chat box. Okay. Okay, we have another question here. Let's see if I can get into this.
Same one popped up there, Gillian. Just kind of
yeah, I'm just trying to see how I can, if I share the results and then
you can close
relaunch. Yeah. So just, no, same one. That's strange. Okay, let's see. Bear with us, guys, because we just want to get a feel for what the different years are and experience already with representation, because obviously then we can cater to that. So we did set up these questions. So if I go into relaunch polling, oh, it keeps looping back. Let's just see on the side if we go in.
Sorry guys, it's our first time doing something like this. So
I was so excited too. I won't spend too much time on it. But we had a few options. Oh, here, I know. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. That's just, okay. So can you now see this one? What year are you in? Have you been a class rep before? So we'll start one by one. Is that coming up here? What year are you in multiple choice? Have you been a class rep before? And have you sat on student council before? And the last question. So take a few moments. You can answer those and at least we get a sense of your experience.
Are you here for the raffle?
Okay, someone can't see the questions because they're using their phone. That is okay. You might just let us know if you have, what year you're in, Rachel, if you've been a class rep before, or if you're in student council. So guys, you can just put it into the chat. If you can't see the questions, we do have a good portion of the audience answering the questions. So again, it's just giving, we don't need the facts, just giving us kind of an overview. So we have 76% of you have voted, so 10 people, and the rest I'll just check in the chat. So, okay, first year, okay. So I'm just going to end the polling. As I said, it doesn't need to be an exact science, and we will share the results. So can you see the results there, Alison?
I can, yeah.
Okay, so we have majority from second year, okay, and a few first years, no fourth years, so that's interesting, and some postgrad, so you're all very welcome. That's great that we have people across the board. Great that 45% of you have been class reps before, so that's brilliant. And maybe there might be an opportunity for you to share experiences, both positive and negative. None of you have sat on student council before, so that is really interesting. And and thank you to the 3 people who are honest about being here for the raffle, but maybe you will sign up anyway. So thanks a million for doing that. And we do have someone in the chat there who has been on student council before, so that's great. We do have a lot of experienced people, but we're going to take this slowly, because for the people who've done it before, they may not have done the online nomination and election, and for the people who are new to this, we will be talking about the role of class reps. So I would say wait till after the presentation to put some questions into the chat box, and I'll open them up and we can do the Q&A that way as well. So there's just somebody I'm going to admit into the room. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start. I'm going to share my screen. So we can see the screen there, Alison, yeah?
Yeah, can the girls on the phones, can you see the screen as well?
Or you could see all these people. Wait, I don't think it's off.
So when I share the screen, I can't see the chat. Are you able to see anything in the chat to see if there's any issues?
Yeah, guys, can everyone see the screen? If you can't, you just type in. Perfect. Thank you, dear miss.
And we have, we have 2 in chat there. So if you could keep, okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so first and foremost, just to say that all representation roles are actually leadership roles. So there's many elements to being a leader, and it's something that when we encourage people to get involved, there's many reasons that we do that. So people often say it's great for your CV, and it is, and leadership is a huge topic at the moment. But it also gives you an opportunity to work on your communication skills, and your influencing skills, because that's what students reps do. They take the information from their peers and they use that information to give feedback to influence change. And that's happening in classrooms and lecture halls, and now on online on a regular basis. So it's really important that the student experience is I guess, influenced by the students. And that's something that our president, Kirsten May, is very passionate about. She would say student reps are the most important students on the ground, because they really are the eyes and ears of what's happening out there. And even though the university may have policies and good intentions to deliver in a certain way, they're only human beings, and sometimes things can go wrong. And equally, sometimes we can learn, one faculty can learn from a different faculty, and also that we can help support students that are encountering difficulties. And reps don't just deal with academic or education queries. There are reps that are more about the interest groups, the different areas of the student experience, but I'll get into that a little bit more in the presentation. So what student representatives do, they advance the education of students, promote and actively pursue the betterment of the welfare of students, represent the interest of our members, which are all the students, and act as a channel of communication in dealing with the university and other bodies. So again, when you take on these roles, you really are part of the change. Now, the people who sit on the committees are the 4 sabbatical officers. So for the first years that may be not too familiar with the whole representation framework, each year 4 full-time student representatives are elected into position for a full year. Alison is one. We've got our student president, student welfare, and we have a new position this year, which is communities officer as well. So really they are linking in with the university committees. They go to lots of meetings every week. And it really, really is powerful when they have live information that students are experiencing, good and bad, now more than ever, because this time 12 months ago, we did not know that we were going to have, first of all, blended learning. At the moment, it's 100% online learning. So there's going to be teething issues, and we really can support the university with getting feedback from yourself. And again, as I said, influencing that change. So there are over 600 vacant class rep positions every year. So on a campus of 16,000 students and growing every year, we have the potential to have 600 class reps. Now, on any given year, we reach about 300, 350. So there's always scope for more reps on the ground. And we always try to have everybody in place by week 4. But it is a rolling nomination period. So again, just to explain that, is the elections for class reps and student council open week 1. So they opened last week, and it rolls over every week until you get your votes and until positions are filled. So the class rep usually is Wednesday, 5 o'clock, we cut it off and we look to see who got their 10 votes. And for student council, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday and we look to see who got the criteria, and then we actually email you to say that you have been successful in your election. So that has always been the way that it was. In the past, it was a paper form, now it's online, and I'm going to explain a little bit about the online. So our constitution says 1 class rep per 25 students. So some of you will be in those larger groups, so there will be more than 1 class rep. Some of you won't have 25 students, you might be in a group of 8. So again, we would say if that's the situation, send us an email and we can take that into consideration. And then if the 8 people vote for you, or 7 plus you, then you are automatically elected in as well. So we have 52 student council positions as well. A lot of people don't actually realize that there is a student council that the 4 student officers sit on as well, and that meet on a fortnightly basis, and they are the governing body of UL Student Life. So they pass all policy, any of the changes that the student officers are trying to implement. And again, they would cover the whole student body. They would be department reps and student councillors, and I'm going to go into those positions shortly. So student reps are the voice of students, and we partner, or you partner with the university to have the best academic experience across all faculties. So last week, 22 class reps were voted in online. And to date, we have 7 student councillors in our student council. So things are looking good, given it's our first year going fully online, and we can imagine there's a bit of, confusion out there, or there could be queries about it as well. So I'm going to go through what student council do, because a lot of you seem to not know much about it, and you might be interested in this. So there's 25 department rep vacancies every year. So each faculty has different departments, and basically it does what it says. It's representing that department. And so you meet with student council every 2 weeks, and you bring the issues from the department. And as you can imagine, when the department rep links in with the class reps in that department as well, there can be some really meaty issues that are being dealt with, and they bring that to council to get the support from Alison, but also as a group, then they would make decisions on how to proceed. So department reps would link in with their class reps, They would attend class rep training, so they build a relationship with their class reps. They would introduce themselves to the head of department, and they would request to be invited to course board meetings. It's really important that they go to course board meetings because, again, you are part of the decision making. You are the student voice there. They would escalate any issues to the academic officer, which is Alison this year as well. The really important thing here is Alison can't, kind of solve every issue that's happening across the campus. So really, she is the point of escalation. But if we train the class reps and the department reps, a lot of things can be resolved before they need to be escalated, through communication, through a bit of feedback to lecturers, our head of department. And it's only when you get the resistance or the door closed in your face that then you need to escalate it to your academic officer. So you would also attend student council, and it's the student council as part of that group. You would hold the student executive to account, but I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. We also have 15 interest group councillors. So I'll go through those roles shortly, because a lot of people don't realise that we want one student rep to be the voice representing the different groups, the different communities on our campus. So what is their role? They get feedback from the wider student body for that particular interest area. They research and promote relevant initiatives within UL and outside of UL that benefit students. And they liaise and meet regularly with their own interest group and chairperson. So our student exec is a group of 12 officers who sit on council. They include the 4 full-time student officers, the post-grad president as well. And exec basically are commissioned by the student council to look at the day-to-day running of UL student life and look at the policies and attend the meetings with the university and to bring that information back to student council. So I can't emphasize enough how important class reps, department reps and interest group councillors are, and how they play such a vital role for the 4 full-time student officers and the post-grad president and vice president as well, because we want those officers to be bringing factual, up-to-date information from the campus, from the student experience, and influence change at a very high level. So the student council positions that we have vacant, there's a student council chairperson, a UL experience chairperson, equality and diversity chairperson. We have equality and diversity councillor, disabilities councillor, home and visiting international councillors, mature student councillor, LGBTQI councillor. We also have interest group reps, which would be sports councillor, activities councillor, entertainment councillor, and we have first year councillor, student services councillor, volunteering councillor, community councillor, and then the different department reps per faculty: accounting and finance, economics, management and marketing, personnel and employment and insurance reps. We have history rep, Irish World Academy of Music and Dance rep, modern languages and applied linguistics rep, culture and communication rep, law rep, politics and public admin rep, and sociology rep. And finally, we have the psychology, GEMS, School of Education, nursing and midwifery, clinical therapies reps. Oh no, that wasn't okay. And then we have the engineering, School of Engineering, School of Design, chemical sciences, biological sciences, physics, maths and stats, electronic and computer engineering, computer science and information. And actually, as of today, the physics rep that role has been taken. So these infographics were done before that. So there is a lot of vacant positions on our student council. And again, that role is you are part of the governing body of UL student life, and you are linking in with your class reps or your interest group areas, and you're bringing that information to student council, which the 4 full-time officers are a part of. So it is actually a really, really good role and good position to have. So I'll explain a little bit more about how you nominate yourself for that and what the votes are. So for the first years who may be new to this process, I'm going to play a short video about what class reps do. Does that play? Alison, is that okay? You can hear it? Yeah. Can you hear that, Alison?
It's not playing it.
Oh, yeah, but when I did play it there, I'll just test it again. You might just say if you can hear it or not.
No, I can't hear sound anyways.
Okay, yeah, no worries. This is just an option that I need to share. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, guys, and share again and share computer sound. And we will start again.
300 individuals. Want to become a class rep but not entirely sure what that means?
We good?
Well, you have come to the right place. Every year at UL, the students select over 300 class reps. That is 300 individual students representing their class at departmental student staff committee meetings. So what does that mean? There are 6 key elements to the role: student voice, partnership, feedback, academic issues, meetings, fun. 1. Student voice. The class rep is the main route of communication between their class and the program or module staff. It is vital that if elected, your classmates know who you are and how to contact you. It is also important that the class rep regularly seeks out their class's opinions and viewpoints, collaborate them, and feed them into appropriate members of staff and student or academic representatives. 2. Partnership. Class reps work in partnership with students and staff to identify issues and develop solutions to problems, always helping to enhance the learning experience. 3. Feedback. Feedback is an important part of the class rep role, but equally important is sharing what changes have resulted from their work. As a class rep, you are one of the main routes to inform students of changes and developments. The role requires regular update to the entire class, the appropriate information on what has been achieved using established communication tools such as Facebook pages, emails, Slack, and where possible, verbal feedback. 4. Academic issues. The role of the class rep is to focus on academic issues which arise during the year. It is important that each elected rep understands this and directs students with personal issues to the appropriate services and staff. The Vice President Academic is a point of contact to communicate any problems with or suggestions to improve the representation system. 5. Meetings. Class reps are expected to attend meetings regularly, representing the views of their fellow students and feeding back to them on the outcomes of meetings. If a class rep cannot attend, they will need to ensure that information is shared with an appropriate alternative who can take on this responsibility in their absence. 6. Fun and social. The fun part of being a class representative is engaging your class outside of the classroom. To get ideas on this, you can contact the Student and Events Coordinator on www.ulstudentlife.ie. You can also organize a class rep hoodie by contacting Student Center at ul.ie. So, what are you waiting for? In a few short steps, you can nominate yourself and get the election process started. Become a class rep and become part of the change.
Okay, so I think it's important just to say as well that class reps, we don't get involved, or you don't get involved if there's any issues with things like bullying, or if students are suffering stress or anxiety. What we would train you to do is to refer those students on to our information and support coordinator, Jenny Blake, in UL Student Life. So it really is about the academic experience and not taking on or being, everything to the class. We have seen that in the past where class reps have taken on too much because they care, but that's not what the role is. The role is about the experience academically and then having their own support from UL Student Life to refer the more complicated issues on. So this year the elections have been put online for obvious reasons, and you can see that by going to our website ulstudentlife.ie, get involved, and then you'll be asked if you want to become a class rep or to join student council. So I'm just going to go through that process, and then I know Alison has some questions for me, and then you probably have some questions as well. So in the past, for the group that has actually been a class rep before, you will remember that there was a manual process. So you took a white form from UL Student Life, you filled out your details, and then you went around and you got 10 signatures from your class. So what we have now is we've put that form online. So when you select the become a class rep, or yeah, become a class rep is what is the question on the Get Involved page. It will bring you into this page. Down at the bottom, you will register your nomination. So step one, you have to register your nomination. That is so that your name and details will appear on a drop-down arrow for your class to select when they're voting for you. So it's just filling out those details that you can see there, standard details, student ID, obviously what year you're in and department, and the class or the course that you're studying. The next then is where your campaigning begins. So in the past, you were walking around with your form. Now what you need to do is to send a link to a minimum of 10 people in your class and ask them to vote for you. We would suggest, obviously, you know, especially for first years who the class may not know them, maybe just to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about why you think you would be a good class rep or why you want to become a class rep. So we kind of give you a sample of that email, but you can use your own wording if you want. We say email, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, whatever way you feel is appropriate to communicate with the students in your class. You just send that link. They get the link and they get this page then when they open this link, when they have been asked to vote in the class rep elections. They've obviously received the email from you. So they put in their names and then they actually select that, you know, that you're going for class rep, and then they select your name from the drop down arrow. So it's actually working quite well. There have been some teething problems, as any kind of new online system would be. But as I said, we had 22 reps elected in successfully last week. And we have over 170 nominations coming in this week. So that far exceeds what we have received in previous years. I think, you know, the online process is suiting a lot of you, and it's taking away that kind of, you know, walking around the campus and, you know, kind of engaging in conversation or introducing yourself, asking for a signature as well. So sending an email or, you know, doing an online campaign is a little bit easier. Now, the thing is, you need to follow up those votes. So your campaign will stay open until you get the 10 votes. We automatically get an email to say, Alison Fitzgerald has received 10 votes. And so then we know, okay, she has the criteria to become a class rep. And we contact our class reps by Friday every week to say, congratulations, you were successful. If you haven't heard from us, it means that you haven't got the 10 votes. So you may want to send out a kind of a reminder, or if you have more people that you can send it to, then send it there. We've had some queries in, can I send it to anybody? No, you're representing your class, so you have to ask your class to elect you. So again, if that is an issue, come to us. You know, we're willing to give you advice around that. As I said at the beginning, if you have less than 10 people in your class, let us know. We take that into consideration. We've often had class rep elections where there has been a class of 6. So if the class have elected you, then you are the rep. If there is scope just for one class rep and more than one of you have nominated and been voted, we contact the 2 of you or 3 of you, whatever it is, and then we set up a separate election and we put it to the class and the class vote for you. We used to do this, obviously, with the permission of the lecturer. We go into the classrooms. So now we will obviously have to do that online as well. So if that does happen, that's the most fair and democratic way. Sometimes people step out of the process because they don't really want to do that. But often then there's a short hust in class, like a little kind of public debate. And then the class decides on the person they want to represent them. So all you need to be a class rep is 10 digital signatures. And for the student council positions, well, yes, you can ask anybody in your department for a signature, and then interest group area, anyone that is actually interested. So with sports or entertainments or events, disabilities, you can ask any students to say, listen, will you vote for me? I really want to do this role this year. So it's, even though they're more signatures, they're probably easier to get because you can send them out to groups that maybe you're already involved in. So once we get the criteria and that email, we'll be in contact with you. So there's 12 weeks in the semester, as you know, so the positions roll until they are filled. But we always try and encourage people to get involved as soon as possible because you get the training and you actually settle into your role as well. If you're elected in semester 1, you are a class rep or a member of student council for the entire academic year. It ends when the year ends, and if you're back next year, then you go through the election process again. So there's a few things that we are offering this year to class reps that we found a little bit more challenging in previous years. But now that we're online, we feel that already we're seeing engagement up because people can kind of come on for 45 minutes or an hour, and they can do that from the comfort of their home, have a cup of tea, turn the camera off, mute, be eating, whatever it is, and still be really interested in the content that we are providing. So we've been working with 2 leadership coaches for the last few years, where our student officers and our exec team have received leadership training. We now want to extend that out to class reps. So this is a skill that you're going to take forward, not just, in your role in the university. This is a life skill. They start talking about leadership, communication, clarity, goals, achieving goals, and really a lot of personal development as well. So there will be modules that will be starting once we have a good number of class reps in place and student council in place. Class reps also get the NSTEP, the National Student Engagement Programme training as well, and that will be delivered online. That goes into detail of what the role is and how to actually do it. We will also be looking at giving you support around the language you use in giving feedback, and how to give, we'll say, I won't say negative, but maybe challenging feedback in a constructive way. And so we recognize that sometimes the positions of reps can be a little bit challenging, and we want to support with that as well. So there's a lot that we try to cover, we try to support, but again, we feel on the online that we're going to actually achieve more this year, and so we're excited about that. There is also, before I ask any questions, there is also, last year we were able to get funding that all our class reps got hoodies. Now, the only thing is the hoodies came in and then the university was shut down. So those hoodies are still in our office, and we are only back in the office in the last, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks. So we're in the process of packaging them up and sending them out to the class reps last year as well. So we'd be hopeful that we would get that funding again and be able to gift you with a hoodie. So I'm going to maybe, Alison, I don't know, do you want to ask some questions before we go to the group?
Yeah, so what we might do, guys, is I have like 4 questions that are kind of generic that you probably all want to know about anyway. So I think I might ask Gillian them first, and then if whatever I've asked and you still want to ask more questions, just pop them in the chat box and I'll go through them, and we'll answer them then, okay? So first things first, in your experience, Gillian, why do students get involved in part-time representation roles?
Well, that's a really good question. I think it's kind of different across the board, but I think sometimes the class reps in 2nd, 3rd or 4th year, they get involved because they see the power a class rep can have, or student council can have. So they've actually seen it working and working really well. and that there are many, you know, staff members in the university that really value the student voice and, you know, value the feedback. So they want to be part of that because it can be quite dynamic, and the experience of sitting on course board meetings and liaising with faculty staff can really give a sense of purpose. Obviously people as well feel that it will build their CV, and it does, because it gets them, you know, their communication skills, building relationships, all those things as well. And then obviously the PVA, that all hours that you accrue up to 3 hours a week, it's cut off at 3 hours a week, go towards your PVA hours. So there's kind of a mix across the board. I would say the class reps I have and the student council that I have been working with over the last 3 to 4 years are some of the most passionate, dedicated students. They kind of blow me away with their hard work and their diligence as well. So they're definitely students that are going places.
And maybe just ask there, what exactly is PVA, because some people might not understand.
Oh yeah, so the President Volunteer Award. So in the UL Student Life Building upstairs is the PVA office. So Gabriella and Arlene oversee that. So it's encouraging students to get involved with the community and volunteering. But they also recognize that the representation roles are voluntary roles as well, the part-time roles. So with that in mind, they want to offer all reps an opportunity to be recognized for their work through a President's Volunteer Award. They're awards that are awarded by the President at the end of the academic year. And again, it's a great kind of achievement. It's something great on your CV as well. So when you actually become a rep, we send you out information how to log your PVA hours.
Brilliant. So what exactly would the roles be? Like what the roles of, I suppose you kind of explained that already. You were kind of explaining the roles in the video, but is it very time consuming?
So I would say that depends on the individual. We have had to contact some class reps that are spending hours and hours and hours a week. And, you know, we would keep an eye on that as much as we possibly can. When we have 300, it's a little bit difficult. So when we see the hours coming in for PVA, because we have to approve all those hours, John, who works for me, approves all those hours. So sometimes he'll flag it and say, look, we have a class rep here that's doing a serious amount of hours. So we would invite them in for a discussion just to see if everything's okay. And usually it's because they haven't maybe linked in with the likes of yourself or who's ever in your role, or, you know, asked for help, or maybe they don't know who their department rep is as well. It shouldn't be that time consuming, and if it is, that means that there's a problem, and if there's a problem, then we need to be made aware of that so we can support the class rep with that. Some people, I guess it's their nature to carry a lot of responsibility and want to do things, but that's something that we try to, I want to do too many things, that's something that we try to cover in the training as well. And yeah, I do think that I explained the different roles, but just on that, I think somebody said in the chat box that they're a little unsure what the difference between a student rep and student council is. Well, everybody is a student representative. So whether you're on council or a class rep, or you're a full-time sabbatical officer, you are representing a cohort of students. So that's just the kind of name for everybody as such. So when we talk about student representation, we're talking class reps, we're talking about our student executive, we're talking about our student council. It's anyone who's representing a cohort of students. So yes, student reps do sit on council, and so student council, and I think I covered in the presentation there, Alicia, that you just go on to the Get Involved page and join student council, and you follow the instructions, which are the exact same as the class rep, which is, you're very welcome, which is you nominate yourself and then you send out that email and you ask for votes as well. Do you have any other questions?
Does anyone else have any other questions? Even if you want to speak up, can you do department rep while being a class rep?
So our constitution says no. However, to be honest, you know, we are really trying to get more students involved. So I would say that if you haven't gone for either yet, maybe have a chat and see which one suits you more, because you kind of are double jobbing there. So again, just, you've already been elected. Okay. And Alan, are you a class rep? Or you can come off mute if you want. Are you a class rep, or have you been a department rep? Or?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, can, yeah.
So basically, I was a class rep last year, and I've already been elected this year for third year PIC. But we actually ran into a lot of problems last year. But I didn't really have power to sit on board meetings and have my say input onto them.
Okay.
So kind of, I prefer that myself and take initiative to do it as well.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's great when there's people like you has the experience and you can kind of see the gaps. And so now you have a brand new year to kind of close those gaps a little bit. So I would say we have, for the last few years, we have had department reps who are class reps. And constitutionally, it's not, we say no, but we have kind of been lenient around it because we feel UL doesn't have enough representation at the moment. So we really want to get people involved. So I would say go for it, see if you can get the votes. And we are changing our constitution, and to be honest, I will be asking for that to be taken out because we want as many people involved as possible. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you.
Gillian,
Yes.
I was just wondering, well, I don't know if more in your opinion, but would there be a certain amount of hours that a class rep should be doing per week, just even if they're not going for PVAs, but just to be getting the workload in and making sure everything's okay, that you would think?
It really varies. I think if you set up good communication channels for the, at the beginning, I mean, you don't need to prompt your class like every day, do you have a problem? Do you have a problem? So really it depends on, lectures. It depends on the relationship the lecturers has with students and the communication from faculties. And there's no one size fits all. So what I have seen is sometimes class reps will let 1 hour a week. And sometimes, as I said, you can see 6 or 7 hours. You're like, okay, that's a bit of a problem. I would say just be kind of driven by your class needs, build a relationship with your class, have good communication channel. We suggest Slack now because not everybody uses Facebook anymore, and our WhatsApp group as well, but you want to be able to separate it maybe from, a joke WhatsApp group where maybe some actual representation kind of information is missed. So we'd say something like a Slack channel, which we would help you set up as well if you're not familiar with it. And there's kind of threads in there as well. I would say that you can come up with initiatives like that, a Friday feedback. So, you kind of like just say, hey guys, just checking in. Is there any issues, anything, you want me to work on? So no news is good news when it comes to representation. You're just allowing them to have the voice. So it just depends on what's going on in the current academic year. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's perfect. I was actually going to ask you something about like having, I don't know, maybe setting aside an hour or maybe setting up a call or something that, and even getting people together for a bit of crack for that hour, and you get feedback, you can take stuff, but you can also chat to them and see how everyone's getting on.
Yeah, I think
especially
it is.
now.
Exactly. And I think it's about building relationships, and then that's building the trust, and then people will, give the information back as well. And, even with any kind of online events or anything like that, we say in our presentation to contact Lee. Lee will be coming into the Class Rep Forum, which is the 28th of October. And he'll be introducing himself to everybody. He is our events and engagement coordinator. So he'll support you if you want to do anything for your class online. Or anything different as well. And Sinead, who works in our merchandise, she'll be coming on and talking about how to organize class rep hoodies. All those things need to still happen. We will support you in this kind of different environment, so you don't need to worry about that. We want it to be as normal and as enjoyable for everybody as possible. So thanks for bringing that up.
What I would say is like a group chat is definitely like priority. Like if you want to get feedback from students, I know you're saying, Janine, like Facebook isn't used, but you'd be surprised, like people just kind of have the Messenger app anyways, and actually on that Messenger app you can actually do like polls. So like even like if you wanted to do like a thing at the end of the week, like any key issues, like if you notice yourself with like certain lectures, like has anyone else had some sort of lecture issues or whatever, and like if people are voting on it, you could even like maybe text them individually, because sometimes it can actually be quite hard for people to like say their issues in a group chat. Like obviously just put yourselves out there and have the group chat there, and maybe if you can like obviously now we're in level 3, so you can't even really have like, I don't know, course drinks or something, but you'd be surprised at like all these meetups, like what people would say with a few drinks in them, or like, you know, when you all finally meet up. But I definitely would suggest on either WhatsApp or Facebook. And I know you're saying Slack, but I don't really know if any students really use Slack. I don't.
They do. CNS use it all the time. And the reason why I'm saying about Facebook, it became a big issue in student council. So unfortunately, not every student does use it. And that's what we found. So I would say ask the question and ask what the preference is, because communication was being missed. Whereas everybody put the Slack app on their phone. And it's something that like it's one purpose only, that they have a channel which is like for their class. But we don't dictate what you use. You obviously, like what Alison says, if it makes sense and everyone has Messenger, you know, absolutely do it. Just have a forum. Sometimes it's just email. So sometimes students use that and they're like, yeah, they're responding to me on email. So I think it's a valid point about like asking, and sometimes it is a WhatsApp group as well. Okay, so there's more questions after coming in there. Will I ask them there, Alison? You're okay? Yeah.
With the training, the leadership training you mentioned, is it all taught to you, or is there room for any ideas that you may also have?
I don't really understand the question, Evan, so you might come off mute if that's okay and just explain it. What do you mean by no, it's not accredited. So somebody's asking that. No, the training isn't accredited. This is to support you in the role. So these two coaches have been working with us, so they know the kind of they know the class rep framework. They know the student representative framework. So they know the environment, and really what it is about is helping you to manage yourself in that role, manage your expectations in that role as well. So they design modules. So I suppose if Evan isn't coming off mute, I'll just say.
I'm off mute. Sorry. Sorry, I didn't ask the question very well. What I mean is, you know, if they tell you to act a certain way, if you have a different idea as to how to do it, can you make your voice heard, or, you know, is it?
No, that's a really good question, Evan. And leadership training is never about telling you how to act a certain way. Leadership training is about encouraging you to find your own way and to find your own leadership style. So it's this type of training is probably different from what you've done before, because there's no right or wrong way. It's just about actually developing your personality and seeing what works for you. And they'll show you different models around that. So it's not a heavy training. It's not something like academic or anything like that. This is just going to be probably 45 minutes a few times over each semester, just to get you thinking about how you can use the knowledge here. Brian and John are great. They're really inspirational. The students, officers get coached by them as well. So they understand the role, and they are they're brilliant at what they do. So they'll never teach you how to do it. They'll just put things in front of you to kind of get you thinking and reflect how you can actually bring that into your leadership style, if that makes sense.
Okay, you know, yeah, that's fine. It's just, you know, if you were completely fresh to it, like you had no experience beforehand, what I would like is to have somebody who has done it before, just kind of, you know, help you a little bit, but, you know, not to feed ideas into your head. Like, I want to kind of have my own idea as to how this works. Because, sorry, go on.
And that's what the end step training will actually give you. So the end step training will actually show you what the role is and how to do the role as well. So we would suggest everybody who hasn't done that before to do that. And then if there is still questions around that, that's where Alison can help out, or I can help out as well. You will be very much influenced by the feedback that you get. And a lot of it is common sense. You know, it's just about if there is an issue, then you bring the issue to the relevant people. You choose the channel. Obviously, that's all going to be online now. So step one would be to introduce yourself to the lecturer and your class, start the communication that way, and then respond to the needs. And sometimes it's the faculties that want you as well. They want you to give information to the class as well. So it's not always coming from the students, it's coming from both sides. So I'd say wait till you get the training, settle into the role a little bit. And then if you feel that there's still gaps, then you could contact Alison or myself. Does that
I'll
make
wait
sense?
till I get the call up anyway. I'm not sure if I've got the call up yet, but
Oh, okay. Have you nominated?
I'm nominated myself,
Yeah.
yes, and I've put the feelers out to a few people in my classes, so I'm just kind of waiting. But
Well, I'm pulling a report tomorrow, so you should know by the end of the week. And if you don't, then you can follow up with your class as well. Okay.
that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And Mary, you're good to head away. We've recorded this and you will still be included in the giveaway. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
so I can't do the giveaway live, lads, because I need to get the list of participants that attended. So what we will do is we will do the giveaway tomorrow, and then we'll contact the winner, okay? And we'll put that on our social media as well, okay? But I have your addresses. Is there any other, or are there any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, just myself again. I was just wondering what it's not as much in the election process sort of, but if you're elected and you're running and you're doing all your work, what would you advise, or what's the story if you end up if someone takes an umbrage to you or is causing or giving out about you in that kind of way?
So
It'll probably come to me.
yeah,
Like,
and when I say when you say someone, just sorry, Alison, is to clarify, you're talking about a student or you're talking about staff, or either or?
Yeah, student more. If they're taking a problem with how you do things, that type of thing, is there a way? Is there a process there on how to deal with issues like that?
I would say, I mean, we would always encourage to try and resolve things before they escalate. So again, that comes down to what you're comfortable with. Is this something that you've experienced before, or it's just a scenario that you're thinking of?
Yeah, so I have experienced stuff before, and I've dealt with it. I'm just in secondary school when I've done some things there, and there's always someone who will give out, and there's sometimes where when more people can get on board, and there's sometimes where you can deal with it. That's the reason I ask.
Yeah, so again, I suppose it's going back to what the role is. The role is representing, you know, the experience of students. So if there is a decision to be made, I would take a vote from students, and therefore you're acting on behalf of the majority of the class. That's the most democratic thing that you can do. If someone still has an issue with that, I would, you know, obviously try to have a conversation with that person. If that's not appropriate, then go to Alison around that, because that becomes a completely different thing as well. That's someone is obstructing you from doing your role. But again, you're not acting out of what you think should happen. You're acting from the point of view, you're representing the majority a decision made by your class. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally understand. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hi, Gillian. How are things?
Hi, how are you?
I was a class rep last year for my course. I'm in second year now, and I'm just wondering. My course is really small now, so I know everyone personally, and because of that, I don't think there's that much of a reason for all my contact info to be on UL Wolves. Is there a way to opt out of that to get my information off
So,
the
website.
website?
So when you're elected, we take it down then. So we will be, so that drop down will be, it's not there for contact. We've taken away that, maybe you're referring to what was there last year, which was a tool that all class reps had to register, so their contact details are on the website. We've taken that away now. And when you nominate, you appear in the drop down menu, which isn't visible to everybody. It's only visible to who you send the link to. And then when you're voted in, it probably takes us about a week because it's a little bit manual and we're getting a massive amount of nominations, but we'll start clearing those names down so your name won't appear on the site anymore. Were you referring to last year's registering your information?
Yeah, no, I was talking about on the actual website, UL student life. When you look up my name on on Google, you can actually find my phone number and my email, like, so.
So
I was just curious.
Will you test that now? Because
Sure.
and send me an email, gillian.o'gorman@ul.ie, if
Perfect.
that still is there, because we've taken down that function with all your information up there.
Great.
I would say it's a handy tool from the point of view that unfortunately not everybody is classes do know their class rep, and also
Oh yeah, of course.
they're also asking us, but we have taken the function away because we're just kind of concentrating on the nomination and the elections for now. But contact me privately about that if it's still an issue.
Cool. Just one or two more things. Sorry.
Sure.
The PVA does that roll over through academic years? Say if like you have like 55 hours for this academic year, and it's 60 to actually get the gold PVA. Do they roll over to the next academic year, or will you have to start from scratch then?
I don't know for sure. I'm assuming you have to start from scratch, but I would send an email to pva@ul.ie asking them directly and querying that. It is pva@ul.ie. Yeah, it is. It is pva@ul. Double check that email address before you send it.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. And was there a last question, or?
Oh, yeah, just last. Or you mentioned you mentioned a few minutes ago that the class rep sweatshirts are on the way from last year. I'm just wondering, could there be a way to consult the current class reps now about the design of the next one, just because in one of the class reps group chats last year, there some people were complaining about the kind of design of it, and I just think it would have been nice for some consultation.
Okay, so I'll explain a little bit about that. So last year was the first year that we were able to offer all class reps a hoodie.
Okay.
So you can imagine there was like 300. So you can imagine the cost, number one.
Yes,
okay?
Of course.
So we had to choose a design that was quite cost effective. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're thinking of 300, okay, and if you go in and you get the class rep hoodies, and the class reps spend 30 or 40 euros on really nice tops, can you imagine 300 by 30 or 40 euros? That wasn't in our budget. So while I take on board what you're saying, there is an option for people to buy their own merch and to design their own merch as well. We got funding that we applied for, and we had to actually work hard for getting that funding, and it was sponsored by Bank of Ireland. So while we appreciate it was a simple design, it was also just a simple gesture. So there's no guarantee that those hoodies will be provided again this year, because again, everything like that is subject to funding. But I'll take on board what you're saying about the design. But again, it's really hard to like, I don't even know what the cost would be there if you had 300 by 30 euros. Like what is that? Is that like nine grand or something like that? So I would say that if people are really kind of not interested in wearing them, then I would suggest that they, look to purchase something and get their class details on that themselves. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
No, thank you. Unless now we get like big funding, then happy days, So
no, of course. Perfect.
It should pop up, Dermot, like straight away, shouldn't it? The nomination. If he just fills out the form and then sends link to his class reps.
So after completing the nomination form, how long will it take for your name to be on the nomination form to send out your class reps? So I think there's kind of like, I would say send it like within half an hour or something like that, because by the time they get it, I don't think it's like the minute that it takes maybe like 5 minutes to replicate or sync. What I will say is some people aren't trusting the process, so they're nominating themselves twice, so they're appearing in the drop down twice. Okay, so someone there had an experience, it took like 10 minutes. Yeah, so there's probably like a background program running. But you know, you can send the email. I don't know if people are that like responsive on their emails. No, you can't vote for yourself. When can anyone vote for themselves? Why would you be able to do it now? And I can see that actually. So I see everyone that votes. So that would be null and void if I saw someone. I have to bounce it to a lecture, but thanks a million for the questions. You're very welcome. Anyone else have any questions?
Hi, Jillian.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You were on council last year, weren't you?
Yeah, I was the class rep from MSc Mechanical Engineering.
Right, thank you.
So I have one question regarding student council position, right? Like, it is going to be a paid position, or like it is a part of a class? It is a part of a representation council, like.
Is it paid? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because
none of the part-time roles are paid, unfortunately. They're all voluntary roles.
And only we can apply if we are the current student of UL, or just because I have finished my graduation master's in this month only.
You can only, that's a great question. So you're actually not a current UL student?
I'm a current, just I received my results today only.
Ah, congratulations.
Yeah,
very good.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, every student representative has to be a current student, because you're representing current students as well.
Okay. That was my query actually.
Okay.
So
thank
you. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you, and congratulations again.
And does anyone else have any questions? So just to reiterate, like, I'm here to help. Like, your job really is to help me do my job. I suppose you kind of make it easier for me, because I can't go into every class and I don't know what's going on. So that's really important for me, is our relationship. So like, if you by any means you have anything you need to question that you don't want to do it on this, or if things come up, like Alan, I know you said you have questions about, you had ideas. Technically I'm like a class rep, I suppose, for the whole student body, so I could kind of help you in that aspect if you had your own ideas on how to approach things. Everyone does different things, and like Gillian said, with John and what's the other guy's name that does the performance nerds? Brian. It's so casual, like you won't even realize you're actually getting training. They just make you really think about like what it is you actually want to do, and you know, they make you really question yourself. You're like, oh, actually didn't think of that, you know. So there's definitely no pressure from them. If anything, they're just there to help you. And like, it's nearly like chatting to a friend, kind of, when you're chatting to them. They're so casual, which is really good. It's not intimidating whatsoever. But yeah, just to reiterate, like, what it's really important for me that you feel comfortable to come to me and express any concerns, because obviously sometimes it's really hard to go to lectures and not all of them are approachable, unfortunately. But yeah, so just saying I'm here to help by any means, so don't be afraid to reach out.
And can I just say something before I go, just to thank everybody? I am available, gillian.o'gorman@ul.ie. If you go onto the UL website, you can look at the staff page and you can book in a chat if you have any other questions. So we do like still meet with students. It's just not the drop-in that used to be. It's kind of like a virtual drop-in, but that forum is still there. And I would say, you know, hopefully you've taken away some good pieces of information. Hopefully we will see you all, for those of you who haven't nominated yourself, hopefully now you will. Hopefully some of you will come on to student council. We're going to share this this recording. I'm not too sure where yet, but we might send it to you anyway individually, but it will be on our socials. And as I said, I will do the raffle, and we will let you know who the winner is. So thank you, everybody. And yeah, so thanks everybody, and thanks Alison. Thank you for inviting me on.
No problem. Okay guys, enjoy the rest of your week, and yeah, hit me up if you have any queries or you want to ask any questions.
Okay, bye guys. Yeah, if you just stay on there for a second, Alison, and